Hi, welcome back to another Album Book Club interview. This week we're joined by Steve of the Cherry Poppin Daddies, a band of many genres, one that we've reviewed before on the podcast. We're looking forward to this. Let's get right into it.
Alrighty, we'll start with our first question. We got to talk about the controversy of the name. It's a little controversial. Did you guys experience any backlash from the name when you first came out, or?
We sure did. In fact, it was immediate. We played a show in November of 1988, where before we were Cherry Poppin Daddies. It was like we got called at the last minute to play this strike. It was a door worker strike, and we called ourselves Mr. Wiggles at that show. So we didn't really have a name. It was just something that was written on the wall of the practice space. Then the first show we played was first show as Cherry Poppin Daddies. We lived in a band house with a bunch of three other bands practiced in the garage, and we all lived together. And in our first show, it was us, all three of the bands, and another band, and we were like the second band or something. And the poster had to be made, and so we were sitting around drinking beer and listening to, at that time, I was listening to a lot of, Viper Jive and Race Records, which is kind of a rhythm and blues, pre-rhythm and blues, sort of the distance between swing music and rhythm and blues in this intermediate period was a thing called Race Records, which was, targeted to African Americans. And they would do this thing called signifying in the records, which would mean they'd say things to their audience that would mean something to African Americans, but white people wouldn't even know what they were talking about, but they'd just go along with it, So that's when we came up with the words Cherry Poppin Daddies, because they would say Cherry this and Daddy, we sort of put the whole thing together. So we should put that as the name of the band on the poster, and everybody laughed. And we said, okay, that's it, dude, because we have to get this poster printed, and put up. So they printed the poster like the next day, and we put it up. We played our show, and everybody, the balloons fell from the ceiling kind of thing. Everybody loved it. And it was shocking because we were playing music that was very strange, kind of like hardcore meets swing music meets funky stuff, right? So I got cornered right after. I literally got 2 steps off the stage, and this guy said, "Oh man, that was the greatest show I've ever seen, blah, blah, blah. I'm in the local paper, and I'd love to interview you." So like literally I went wet to the backstage area. I didn't even see my friend's band because he wanted to do a whole interview right there. So we did an interview. He prints it up, and it says Cherry Poppin Daddies in the paper. And so it went out to the entire community. And right after that, a shitstorm erupted, and we got boycotted. Like people, we were really popular, but people would come out in front of our, like literally stage, candlelight vigils in front of our shows. And, pretty soon it got so bad in Eugene, it's a college town, it's about 160,000 people. It got so bad that we pretty much couldn't play under our name in Eugene without, at all. We could play Portland, we could play San Francisco, Seattle, but we couldn't play in Eugene as Cherry Poppin Daddies. So we didn't. We played as the Daddies or the Bad Daddies or something, because we literally got too much shit for our name to be able to play in that. No other city cared, but Eugene just absolutely hated it. I mean, I walked down the street, and one time, and the woman hit me with a cup of hot coffee in the face. It was that level of hatred. It burned me real bad too.
It's been 3 decades now that the band's been together. How do you guys, or how have you guys, kept it together? I know a lot of, after, so much time, a lot of bands end up, breaking up over whatever sort of conflicts, this, that, and the next. What kind of kept you guys together?
Our band, there's only 3 original members of the Daddies now. Dana, the trumpet player, and Dan, the bass player. And a lot of, when you have a lot, 8 members really is, we go between 7 and 8 members. And, people go on with their lives, and it's not an easy life. I think, as in most bands, there's somebody who's really the one who's got most of the energy, and it's their dream, and so they end up doing the lion's share of the work, and that's me, so it's this has been my sort of crazy idea from the beginning. When I was in high school, I was a punk rocker, right? The original punk rock thing, and then hardcore happened on the West Coast. That was very important to us, and then we formed in the what do you do after hardcore, and my feeling being involved in the hardcore scene and stuff like that was that a lot of the bands were trying to be Minor Threat or trying to be other bands, and I thought it was very un-punk rock to try and be, yeah, I know what you're doing. It seemed like everyone was fronting, to me, and I wanted to do something. I had to try to pick something that no one would fucking do, so it wouldn't be my own thing, because that was what was punk rock to me. I felt that way. And so I had this idea. My mom sent me this Smithsonian collection of jazz, and I listened to it and I went, wow, and I loved it actually. And I thought, wow, what if I married this punk rock thing to, essentially jazz or swing music? And I had some other antecedent kind of things that I was interested in, like sort of Kerouac-y kind of beat poetry stuff. And, somehow it sort of started to come together. And, I thought, well, now that's punk rock, dude, because first of all, it wouldn't be totally guitars based. All my friends had guitar bands, and I thought, yeah, you're all trying to do something somebody else is doing, So to have horns was considered reactionary, and we took a lot of shit for it. But it's been kind of the savior of the thing to sort of take these music school people and these punk rock people and kind of try and work something out between us. And we've all learned, other chops from each other.
All right, so you kind of established that you're the leader, kind of the go-getter, but as far as the rest of the group dynamic, how has it changed over the years? And even expounding kind of, since you're dealing with horns and horn parts, how do you deal with all that too?
Right. Well, we've always been very studio oriented. Our second record, we built our own studio to record it. So we've always been interested in the recording side of things and trying different, just as interested in the recording side of things and the, and the artistic, concepts as, like for instance, when we were making records, my idea was I didn't want to make a record in one genre. I wanted to whip your head around on a swivel each time, but keep the thematic, concepts of the record somewhat coherent. But the way that we expressed it, say it was a book, chapter 1 would be in one style, chapter 2, it might be like a kind of a, like an essay style, and chapter 2 would be a romantic gothic novel, and then chapter 3 would be, a beatnik poetry. But the whole story would be these, would be something similar, a story about someone that would carry through. You could feel the characters, and that was the concept that we tried to, things like that. We tried to, so there was the recording side of things, there was the art trip kind of things, and then there was the music, trip with the horn, say. So when I started writing these tunes, I would write, and I still do. I usually write the lead line, which often is the trumpet, or trumpet or alto sax, depending on, usually the higher notes in a horn section are the ones that pull your ear mostly. And when we cheat a horn section, you'll cheat the trumpet up a little bit, and whoever has the color notes back a little bit, and it's a delicate mix thing. So I would sing it all out with my mouth. You sort of like Michael Jackson or something. I'd sing out the lines. I play guitar. I play a little bit of everything, shittily. So I'd give a good, I'd have a real good demo. And I still do this to this day. I create a demo, and then the band learns it. And in the process of, putting the arrangement together, and I've got much better over the years at arranging, But the horns know what they're doing, and to go, well, you know what, Steve, this horn does not play that note, so let's flip these notes here and whatever, and it comes together that way.
Throughout the making of all of the music that you've made, has there been any point where you've made a song and then knew it was going to be a hit? Or even now, like with the new album, any on there that stand out as this one might be huge?
Yeah, I mean, no is the answer. The thing is, I just try to, maybe there might be a time when I'd want something to seem like a hit, but that would have something to do with how it would be perceived, just like what I was just talking about,
Mm-hmm.
But no, I didn't think that people would like us, and I didn't want people to like us at the beginning, you know what I mean? It was kind of a mistake to be liked, and it was bad to, if I can explain the middle 80s to people, it was bad to be liked by people who you didn't like, right? You didn't want to be liked. Please don't like me, and that whole thing expanded to fill the universe for a lot of people. And I don't, like right now, I'm probably coming off as a blowhard, probably coming off as someone who thinks too much, too wound up in his art bullshit, right? But that's how I could try to be a dumbass. I could try to say, hey, I'm just a rock and roll guy, and I don't know jack shit, and I don't think about these songs, and hopefully I'll make a lot of money. But that's not where I came from. I came from a world where, we didn't trust, the early 80s started out with a big reactionary group of people and Izods and, sweaters around their jerks, any frat boys and dummies. And, we didn't want them around, and hardcore was very elitist too, but there was also a bunch of people in it who were violent dumbasses, you know what I mean? So, like if you go to a Black Flag show, it was, there were around the edges, there were cool punk rock people, goths and weirdos and record collectors and stuff. But the main body was a bunch of people who just wanted to shave their head and hit you in the face, or dumbasses, you know what I mean? So even within the scene, there were drones and fools, and, it's just, it's a time that is gone. And it's almost impossible to explain, the mind fuck of that, of thinking like of the punk rock, hardcore, and post-punk thing. And so when you grow up in that time, you're sort of stuck in your head, like I do want to be liked, but then when I'm liked, I hate it. I almost trust more if you think I'm fucking a jerk off, you know what I mean? And I'm okay. Either way is okay.
Do want to ask about Weird Al with the grapefruit diet. How did that come about?
Well, he, it was just, we had a big record, and he, it was very simple. We had a nice conversation. He called me up and said, hey, I want to do your song. And he said, do you have any sort of, is there anything you don't want me to say? And I said, no, it's Weird Al. You do what you do, skewer us, do it, whatever you want, and he came up with grapefruit diet, and it was pretty straight. It's pretty straightforward.
I guess kind of looking at the legacy of your music, have you ever had the opportunity to see any like for example, like pet bands play like Zootsuitriot, and if so, how did that make you feel?
Good. I mean, I think on the whole, it's that it's I don't know how I feel about it. It's fine. I am glad that it's a simple, like Zootsuitriot is a simple song, and which is good, but it has a kind of a quality for young bands to be able to pull off, relatively easily. And, it's hooky and it's easy for everybody, it gives the drums a chance to do their thing and the horns can do their thing. So, I mean, as far as the, again, it's also interesting that it's a song about one of the most heinous racial incidents in our American history, which is partly, which is part of my art trip. You know what I mean? If you can, send something with a barb out there, or a lot of people just go zootsuitriot, woohoo, and they don't know that the song is about that. It's also not, I reused the song as a rallying cry for the burgeoning swing music scene, which was happening at that time. I sort of meant it as sort of an anthem for the scene, but it did utilize this, so I was saying in it what I think I was trying to say is we are with the zootsuiters here, but I mean, of course, if you want to be a hater, you can just say, oh, that's not what they, whatever, but it has it in there. There's barbs in there,
So I know as of last week, even when we were trying to set this up, you were still doing shows. So how does it feel to still be touring and doing shows?
We're entering a very difficult period as musicians, all of us. After the pandemic, the world decided that they were going to make it harder on, like, I think in the UK, I saw the UK, 16% of venues closed in the last 6 months. I know in the performing arts center world, which is a lot of where we make our decent money, a lot of those places are not yet rolling again. We've played a few of them since that. In order to keep a band rolling with guys who still want to do it, we have to make a certain amount because we're a large number of us in the band to make it work. So it's difficult right now. We're doing good. We're doing interesting things. We have interesting songs, and I'm still interested in making music. But to still be playing live shows, I still want to do it. I still don't feel like I want to get it all out before I'm done. But I do enjoy the touring too, and I enjoy the fight. I'm a fighter. I get off on people not liking it, and I get off on, going into a club and having a bunch of people who think they know what's going on initially treat you like you're just another schmuck. And then by the end of the night, they're going, whoa, you guys are really good. Sorry, I said that to you early on, like you didn't know what you were doing, even though you've been playing since 1988. I enjoy it. I know that by the end of the night, people are going to go, oh, shit, you got to hand it to those guys, And so I still got something to say. I still love playing music, and if we can afford it, we'll continue to do it.
I kind of wanted to make a point to say that was actually the first piece of music I ever learned. Funny enough, was zootsuitriot. So, just to take a moment and kind of say thank you, because that kind of led to an eventual career through different ways. How it works with music, but that was in middle school jazz band. That was the first piece I was handed as a drummer. So it's really funny. They said I'm actually a guest on here tonight, but they said they wanted to do this, and I immediately said no. I really would like to meet Steve, meet anybody from that band, because that just holds such a personal connection with me. So I kind of want to take a second and say thanks.
Well, hey, thank you for saying that.
Alrighty, we're gonna wind down here. One of our things we always make sure to ask our guest is we love reviewing albums. Obviously, it's our content here. So what's an album you'd like us to take a look at?
You mean of ours?
Of anyone. It can be one of your favorite albums. It can be another Cherry Poppin Daddies album.
Oh, you mean to do on your show?
Yeah, we'll do a whole live episode for it.
I think a record that I really like that doesn't get in. First of all, the Wipers are one of my favorite were one of my favorite bands growing up. I was a big Wipers fan, and among the Wipers records that people don't, listen to that much is I really always liked Over the Edge. I thought that's a great record because it's sort of cartoony and it's very Portland in the '80s, and the Wipers were, like I was a big fan of the Wipers, so that would be a good one to. And it's not one of the records that everybody thinks of. They always think of Youth of America or Is This Real? The Wipers are a very interesting band that more people should know about.
Heck yeah, we'll definitely check that out in March. And then lastly, is there anything you want to shout out or plug or talk about, like any upcoming shows or anything like that?
Well, we are going to be releasing this swing record that we have called At the Pink Rat, and that'll come out this summer. We've been sort of streaming some of these swing tunes coming out, and so that'll be out in something like June or July. And then you can go to daddies.com if you want to get vinyl, and it's pretty good. It's good swing. If you like swing music, that's a good one. And then after that, I'm working on what I call a ska pop record, for lack of a better word. Some are ska-ish, some are pop-ish. They're sort of back to the Daddies Ferociously Stoned days a little bit, and that one I'm really excited to be working on. It's turning out really good. So, but that's in the early days. It's going to have all that stupidity rock that we started off with. So,
heck yeah.
There's a new single too.
There is a new single. Yeah, I checked that out before I came.
Yeah, there's which one? Undecided out there? Is that still? Yeah. Then next week there's a new one called Hey Goomba that's going to be out. That's the big new single. It'll be next week.
Thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate you giving your time to us.
Sure,
that's
no
all
problem.
we've got for you, man. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you.